What's up, moviegoers? It's Luke Rollins again, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be doing The Witches movie review. So let's get started. In late 1967, a young orphaned boy goes to live with his loving grandma in the rural Alabama town, Demopolis. As the boy and his grandmother encounter some deceptively glamorous but thoroughly diabolical witches, she wisely whisks him away to a seaside resort. Regrettably, they arrive at precisely the same time that the world's grand high witch has gathered her fellow cronies from around the globe, undercover, to carry out her nefarious plans. Okay guys, so the director of this movie is Robert Zemeckis. He's best known for his movie Hugo, which got an award for Best Dramatic Film of the Year. Okay guys, so I recently saw this movie this past weekend. I heard it was a good movie. It got some good critics and stuff. So I decided to watch the movie for myself and see, if this movie was any good or not, if it was bad. But I'm just going to start with this. After watching the trailer of this movie, I actually got, a lot of hype, wanting to see this movie. It looked creepy. Anne Hathaway was in it. And she looked like she had a very important role in this movie as the Grand High Witch, which is supposed to be like the most evil witch of all in this movie. Watching the trailer, the movie kind of made me feel like, it's a really, really scary movie. The visual effects, it looked, extremely scary for a kid's movie. So I was like, okay, this would be a good Halloween movie to watch. So I watched the movie for myself. Gotta say, guys, this movie wasn't as good as I thought it would be. It didn't really live up to any of the hype. The beginning of the movie was kind of slow. We first started off with Chris Rock narrating, when he was a little boy. He gets, this story started of, how this all started. He talks about, him living with his grandmother, and, how his grandmother always told him that he needed to watch out for, other witches and, demonic stuff. But, going into this film, I kind of, was expecting that this movie would, show off some, evil vibes, from these evil witches, and I was hoping to get, some goosebumps from this film, but turns out this movie, I don't know, something about this movie just felt more of like a dud. Anne Hathaway starring as the Grand High Witch. I gotta say, I kind of like her character, and I kind of like her accent, but this movie still isn't good enough to, give you goosebumps for this Halloween. If you plan on watching this Halloween, it didn't really give me any goosebumps. I do feel like Anne Hathaway starring as the Grand High Witch, I feel like, she's doing like the most, like the absolute extreme with her acting. And I don't know, it's kind of, obvious to tell that she's, really trying hard to be this evil witch that gives you the creeps, but I do feel like she was kind of trying a little too hard with her skit, who her character was. But I really, really, really love the accent that she did in this movie. It did give this movie kind of a horror vibe. I know this is a kid's movie, but if I'm gonna say, depending on like, a kid's movie, like a movie like this, I do think, it's appropriate for kids. I do see, why they went with a PG rating and not a PG-13 rating. Wasn't, watching the movie, it wasn't scary. So if you're like an adult or a grown-up and you're wanting to see this movie that, revolves all around these, evil witches across, the town, and, lures, children and all that, gives, people evil vibes, this movie may not be for you. So this movie basically, starts off kind of with a dramatic, and very sad, lonely, intro. Chris Rock's character, the little boy in the beginning, has lost his mom and dad in a car accident. So he ends up living with his grandma, starring as Octavia Spencer, which she does a absolute very, very great job and fantastic. I've always loved Octavia Spencer's movies, like, The Help, which I think it won like an award or something, but she stars as the grandma. When the little boy first came into encounter with this, evil witch, he told his grandma, "Hey, I saw a witch." And the grandma's like, "Okay, we got to get out of here. We're going to go to this hotel that is mainly like for rich people and stuff." So they go to a hotel and, where, the witches can't find them. Ends up the witches are there for some reason. You've seen in the trailer and how this character is talking about how they want to turn these children into, rats or mice. And, fitting that into this storyline, turning these children into mice kind of takes over the whole point of the title of this movie, which is called The Witches, or Ronald something, The Witches movie. It just doesn't feel more of a witch movie than it does, a mouse movie. I feel like the mice are like the star of the show, in this movie. We don't really get that many, witch, scenes. So if you love evil stuff like, witches and demonic presence and, I don't know, just evil people, this movie's not for you. This movie basically focused more on the mice than it does, the witches. So this whole film basically revolves around, these children who've been turned into mice by the witches, and they're trying to find a way how to get their bodies back. And so let's talk more about the CGI in this movie. I gotta say, guys, the CGI in this movie is extremely creepy, and just actually a really, really excellent job. Whoever did, the visuals in this movie, where, one of the witches has, split, lip. All of them have split lips. They have one toe. They have these teeth that are just so creepy. I love how, this is a kid movie. They try to keep it PG. So, no kids get like extremely scared. But I love how they added that in this movie. The CGI in this movie, whether it's the mouth, the teeth, the toes, or, the nose, because the witches have, extremely good senses where they can smell real good. They can tell if a child is in the room with them. And I gotta say, they're really good at luring children by candy in this movie, which I thought was, a classic move, to get, children, like in horror movies, or, a classic move for a witch to, get the children. Now let's talk more about the cast members in this movie. This movie has, some very good cast members in this movie. We have Anne Hathaway. You may know her from Devil's Prada, which is like a fashion design movie. She was also in The Batman Dark Knight, starring as Catwoman, and she was in Interstellar, the sci-fi movie. We have Octavia Spencer, one of my favorite actresses of all time, and she stars as the grandma in this movie. You may know her from the Help movie. I know she did have a cameo, Thinking Back, which was a long time ago. She had this short cameo in the first Spider-Man where she was, at the booth, letting people in to fight or wrestle. Peter Parker comes up to her and, she was telling him it's not a good idea, and he did it anyways. Stanley Tucci, starring as Mr. Stringer, the manager of the hotel. I gotta say, this guy wasn't really, as important in this movie. Didn't really have an important role in this movie. And yeah. Now, speaking of, funny wise, or, the laughter in this movie, I gotta say, this movie doesn't really take this movie too seriously, which, is kind of a good thing, for a children's, horror movie, PG horror movie. They don't really take this, seriously. We have Anne Hathaway's character starring as the main, the Grand High Witch in this movie. And she kind of has, these jokes, this, funny accent, which is kind of funny, to laugh at. Her humor is just amazing in this movie. I've never seen someone go from an English accent to, this kind of like Russian accent or French accent. But it was really good. And I gotta give it to her. I'm gonna rate this movie though. I'm gonna give this movie 4 stars. This movie is an okay movie. It's a metalcore movie. It can be entertaining at times, but I do feel like, calling this movie, the main title of this movie is called The Witch, doesn't really show off in this movie. Than it does with, turning the children into mice. The mouse takes, the whole film. We don't get to see, a lot of witches and, spells and all that. We just get to see more scenes of the mice and, them trying to get their bodies back. But, that's one of my problems I had with this movie. But it's entertaining at times. Anne Hathaway does an excellent job getting into character with this Grand High Witch who has this, amazing accent. And then we got Octavia Spencer starring as the grandma. She does good as always in movies, and I just like it. Okay, guys, but if you're looking for a good Halloween movie, for your kids, I recommend you guys see this movie. It's fun, it's entertaining. The CGI is very scary, but kid appropriate or child appropriate. And if you guys are new to my channel, don't forget to like, comment, and hit that subscribe button. And I will see you guys in the next movie review. I will be coming up with more horror movies for this October. I know, Halloween is a couple days away. Can you believe it? The months and days are going so fast. But I do plan on doing maybe 2 more horror movies like Halloween or anything new at the movies. But if you're new to my channel, stay tuned to get more of those movie reviews. And I'll see you guys in the next movie review. Bye, guys, and have a good day.